publish names of looters, or, well, Serap compels the federal government to release names of those who returned the funds it released. It said it has recovered. The civil society group invokes the Freedom of Information Act, giving the federal government 14 days ultimatum. And Senator Ali Modu Sharif may not back down anytime soon on the court cases he instituted. The promises to see the case to the very end. The party may be experiencing a long legal battle. That's our focus on the program. Hello everyone, and many thanks for joining in today. It's Wednesday and this is Politics Today live on Channels Television. We're reaching you live from our Lagos studio in Nigeria. Let's begin tonight with some of the top political stories we're following right now.
Political Roundup on Channels Television. Here are your top political stories this time.
Preparations for the Ondo and Edo states governorship elections appear to be in top gear, but a few things seem to be bothering the electoral umpire. The Independent National Electoral Commission has attributed the spate of violence and inconclusive elections in recent times to mounting resistance to the use of the smart card readers for elections. The resident electoral commissioner for INEC in Edo State, Mr. Sam Olumekun, who said this while briefing newsmen in Benin City over the preparations by INEC for the Edo State elections, also revealed that INEC intends to deploy electronic collation system in addition to the use of smart card readers for the Edo election.
We are going to collect all elections in polling units electronically, and that will be done in Abuja.
And in Ondo State, INEC has announced plans to conduct a continuous voter registration exercise between February the 22nd and Sunday the 26th of June 2016. Briefing newsmen in the state headquarters of INEC in Akure, the state capital, a state resident electoral commissioner, Mr. Olusegun Agbaje, said the exercise is part of the preparations for the conduct of the November 26 governorship elections. Agbaje informed that the CVR exercise is strictly meant for the registration of citizens who turned 18 years of age after the last exercise and those who could not register during the previous exercise in the state.
It is pertinent to note that the Commission has put a lot in place in terms of preparations, successful conduct of the CVR exercise.
And members of the Ekiti State House of Assembly have petitioned the National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, the National Assembly, Amnesty International, embassies of the United States and the United Kingdom over the alleged plot by the federal government to prevent Governor Fayose from traveling outside Nigeria without getting clearance from the Department of State Services, DSS. The lawmakers were in the NHRC office to submit the petition. The Executive Secretary of the NHRC, Professor Ben Angwe, has said the Commission will investigate the alleged travel restriction. The lawmakers believe the freedom of the governor will be infringed upon if the travel restriction is imposed. And the former Deputy Governor of Kogi State, Mr. Yemi Awoni, has reacted to the judgment of the Election Petition Tribunal over the Kogi governorship elections, which affirmed the victory of Governor Yahaya Bello. Mr. Awoni says his team will challenge the judgment and ask members of their party to remain calm. And the House of Representatives has summoned the governor of Kogi State, Mr. Yahaya Bello, over the crisis rocking the state's House of Assembly. The lower chamber of the plenary condemned the implementation of the budget, which they alleged was passed by 5 lawmakers, and what they say was the unnecessary involvement of the military in the crisis.
And you're up to date. Those are your top political stories you need to know.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's begin tonight with the ultimatum given by the Socio-Economic and Accountability Project, SERAP, a civil rights organization, asking the federal government of Nigeria to publish the names of looters, or it will be forced to take all legal means to compel the government to release the names. The federal government over the weekend released an interim report stating recovered funds and assets, but just as the president promised in the UK, the looters' names were missing. The federal government has come out to say it did not release the names because of legal reasons. Well, let's talk about these now. This is what Serap is saying. Serap says that he insists that the public interest is to know is greater than any other legitimate interest that the government might wish to protect. He went further to say that the Nigerian government has an obligation to balance whether the risk of harm to the legitimate aim, that is, in bracket, the secrecy of ongoing corruption investigation and presumption of innocence from disclosure of the names of public officials is greater than the public interest in accessing the information. But there's been a lot of controversies and debate over whether or not the government should come forward with the names. The president in the UK at the corruption summit said in London that he will announce the names of looters and how much Nigeria has been able to recover so far since May 2015. And on his speech on that day, the president missed out that portion. On Thursday, he said the following Thursday, he said he will ask the Minister for Information to release the names. That didn't happen on Thursday, but on Saturday, the minister did come forward with the list of the monies that have been recovered. But again, the looters' names were absent. Since then, controversies over whether or not these anti-corruption efforts are genuine without the names of the looters. Let's talk about these and this latest development. Joining me from our Abuja studio is a legal practitioner, Mr. Daniel Boala, also a law lecturer. Thank you so much for joining us. SERAP has invoked the Freedom of Information Act, which means that the federal government will probably want to obey these. It's actually directed a letter to the Minister of Information. What is the potency of this act in the light of what is on the ground? Could the federal government be forced to release the names of the looters in these circumstances?
Well, thank you for having me. I do not think that the federal government has any legal obligation to list or publish the list of names. And I think that the president said that probably he wanted to communicate the message to Nigerians that his government is transparent, and he made that promise. But a lot is involved in publishing the names of individuals that have not been charged to court or prosecuted and convicted. There are lots of things associated with it. First of all, you look at the political angle. What is the aim of publishing the name? When the intention of the government is to recover the looted funds. If you want to recover and you go ahead and publish the names of the individuals, then obviously you're going to deter others who will be willing to come up with proposals to probably return looted funds. That's number one. Then the other thing is the Constitution presumes that the accused person is presumed innocent until is proven guilty. When you go ahead and publish the name of a looter, even if you have a cogent and compelling evidence to show that the person has returned, has the person been charged to court, has the person been convicted, it will not change the fact of what the Constitution provides, that the person is innocent until is proven guilty. The other angle to it is, what if you publish the name? Because, for example, all of the amounts that the federal government claimed had been recovered, the federal government does not have access to the money because of obvious reasons, such as court cases or probably delay on the part of the international government, international community from returning the money. So I do not think that the government has any legal obligation to publish the list of the names. It is sufficient that the government is able to say so-so amount was recovered from so-so angle.
All right, we'll take a moment. And when we return, we'll dig more into this matter. In fact, we'll take some political angle to it because another guest of mine is in the studio. We'll be looking at that deeper. Join us again.